Hey, everybody. After a very long, almost 13 hours of travel, I left Honolulu last night at about 10 o'clock at night, Hawaii time, and landed in Washington today a little after 4 o'clock. I made it to DC. It was a little bit of a last minute notice coming from congressional leadership that we were going to have a vote coming up on the this emergency funding bill, specifically to put more funds into the accounts for the PPP program, the small business program, as well as the EIDL loan program. So when I took off from Hawaii last night, there was not yet an agreement between the Senate, the administration, and the House. Obviously, Senate is controlled by Republicans, the House is controlled by Democrats. There had been a lot of back and forth for really the last 2 weeks. And again, when I took off last night, there was not an agreement. When I landed in DC today, an agreement had been met. The Senate had passed the bill by unanimous consent or by voice vote. And so the next step now is it's going to be making its way over to the House, where we will be voting on it on Thursday. I had to leave when I did because we weren't sure whether the vote was going to take place tomorrow. We learned yesterday on Monday that the vote could happen as early as Wednesday at 10 a.m. So given how few flights there are, I needed to make sure that I got here in time. Found out the vote's actually going to be on Thursday now. And I'll just give you a little bit of a quick rundown. You know, it's been incredibly frustrating and very, very difficult for our small businesses, true small businesses, not Ruth's Chris, not the Shake Shack or others who got millions of dollars. Shake Shack returned, I think it was $10 million back to the federal government, but others have not, and they received a ton of money when they really are not small businesses at all, and small businesses who really needed the help, unable to get it. So there are some gaping holes and problems with the legislation that was passed previously. I'll give you a quick rundown. I'm still going over all the details, but I have the top lines on the bill we'll be voting on in a couple of days, Thursday. Basically, it's a $483 billion aid package. And the broad areas that it funds is it puts $321 billion back into the Paycheck Protection Plan, which really is the intent of this program, is designed to help small businesses keep their employees on their payroll. As so much of the country is under continued stay-at-home orders. For the city and county of Honolulu, where I live, one of the 4 counties in my district, the mayor just announced that the stay-at-home order for our county, our city and county, is going to be extended until May 31st. I imagine the other counties in the state they've said they'll be readjusting here in the coming days and assessing as we go through. Encouraging news for the city and county of Honolulu. This is the second day in a row where we've had 0 new positive cases for coronavirus. Testing remains the challenge, where if we're not doing the kinds of mass testing, we won't really know what the reality is. But I think that one of the most important things that Hawaii is starting to do more seriously is this contact tracing, testing, and isolation. So back to the bill. Let's see. Administrative costs. There is some funding that's going back into the emergency, the EIDL program as well for our small businesses. A lot of people applied for both the EIDL loans as well as the PPP and have not gotten any answer yet, and certainly haven't gotten any funds. So that's the main focus for this emergency funding bill, is to directly support small businesses. There is $75 billion also included in this bill that's going to hospitals and other healthcare facilities who are on the front lines and dealing with this coronavirus crisis. There is $25 billion set aside for more COVID-19 tests, as well as a mandate to start building out what is the national testing strategy going to be. These funds, this $25 billion, will be split up between the federal government and state and local governments. There's a breakdown there of exactly what's going where and to whom. The largest chunk of this money is actually going to states and localities and our tribes. So actually, no, I take that back. 11, no, that's right. Okay, look, we're going to get all the details and put out a very detailed thing once we have all of this straight. But that's what we have right now. My Aunt Eileen is watching from Utah. Let's see. So here's the other big thing that we'll be voting on that's not related to a funding bill, but it will require a rule change in Congress that basically allows for a proxy voting to take place. So in this situation, for example, for a lot of members of Congress on the East Coast, they can get into a car and drive to the Capitol. It might take 5 hours or 10 hours, but they can get into a car and drive to the Capitol. For some in the Midwest could do it. It'll take a lot longer. For those who are on the West Coast and those of us who are out in the Pacific, not an option. So given how many of the positive coronavirus cases have been travel related, obviously people are cutting down all non-essential travel. So for future situations during this pandemic, the minimal action that can be taken is to change the House rules to allow for proxy voting, which means I'm out in Hawaii. There is a vote that comes up. Let's just say it's one vote happening on one day, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, will I be able to get back in time? Do I need to get back in time for this? What this proxy voting rule change will allow me to do as a member of Congress representing Hawaii's 2nd District is to designate someone else, another member of Congress who maybe is closer by the Capitol, more easily accessible, to vote on my behalf. So I will still tell them exactly how I want my vote cast for every single procedural vote, as well as every vote on substantive legislation, so that my constituents are represented through that vote, but not requiring me or every single member of Congress to all converge back here on the Capitol to cast their vote. So, look, I think there's a lot more that needs to be done, but doing this proxy voting is the best first step to be able to prevent people, including a lot of members of Congress who are elderly and who are may have compromised immune systems, or really it's everyone though, because we're seeing young people who don't have compromised immune systems getting affected by this. So it's really seeking a way to try to minimize and mitigate the risk, especially because there's unfortunately a lot of coronavirus activity and impact here within the DC region, the Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC region. So those are the two big things we'll be voting on Thursday as of now. I just saw somebody say, look, don't take this the wrong way. Somebody in the comments saying, don't take this the wrong way, but it looks like you've lost weight. Thank you. I'm trying to work out and trying not to eat too much as we're all staying at home and working at home. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to go work out after this, by the way. That's about it for now. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I appreciate you and hope everyone is doing well. I hope that whether you are still working or if you're at home or if you're working from home. Just be safe. Be safe. Your health is the most important thing. And we're going to continue fighting for you, standing with you. And we've got to get through this together. I know it is terribly stressful, and there's so much anxiety around the uncertainty where no one really knows what is going to happen. But what we do know is that if we take all of the necessary precautions, do the right thing, we will beat this together and more quickly. That's essential. And after that, then we can begin to start finding this new semblance of what the new norms will be. It's going to take a little bit of time, though, and we can look to how other countries who are farther ahead in this are learning that exact same thing. Brooke Kohara, elections need to be vote by mail. I agree with that completely. Have supported letters and legislation here in Washington to be able to do that. It's critical. Let's see. Yes, somebody said I just took a shower. I took a shower because after 13 hours of different airports and different planes, and frankly, this is what I recommend. Anytime you go outside and you're in an exposed environment, immediately upon getting home, take your clothes that you've been wearing out are likely contaminated. I took them off, threw them directly in the washing machine, immediately took a shower, and I felt good. But I still got to get my workout in because so I'm gonna have to take another shower after that. I still got to get a workout in to help with the jet lag and the sleep, and plus I've been sitting around on a plane for 13 hours, so I got to get my blood pumping again. All right, guys, it's getting late here. I am still on Hawaii time, but yeah, it's about 8:30. I hope that all of you are well. Aloha.